Hello, welcome to the activity today, which will be the Mandela Carousel. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about what a mandala is and how it can be put into an activity like a carousel. I've actually started one of the pictures here, and I'll finish it while we are on record. So I might just face it down and I can talk as I draw, which will be helpful. So a mandala carousel essentially is a geometric design, and it originated in Hindu or Buddhist cultures, and it is used to meditate and aid in spiritual development. It's now been integrated to other cultures and communities. We see it quite a lot when doing mindfulness work or meditation, to either colour in or create our own geometric designs, which is what I've done here. And carousel means to move around in a circular motion. So you've probably lots of times used mandalas to colour them in yourself as a mindfulness activity. I personally think it's really cool to create your own. Then it's not just about the colouring, but it's about creating the shapes, colouring in the shapes, which is quite fun as well. And it's then sort of your own picture. It adds a new element to creating something rather than just colouring it in. You're mindful around, do the shapes fit together? Are they round? Do they sort of come out to a point? Do you have a preference for the shapes? And it's a little bit more time as well, which is fun. So if you're on your own and you're doing this activity, you can do what I've done here and just create a bunch of shapes and then colour it in and hang it up on your wall or continue to add to it. If you're with some family in your house, or you live with some carers or friends and you want to do this with them, I've started with this shape as an example in the middle that's dark. You would start by putting this in the middle, and then, as carousel has been explained to move in a circular motion, you would pass your page to the person next to you, and then you would collect their page, and then you would add to that inner design. So then you might start doing this one around the outside on their paper, and then as the paper moves around the group of people, you keep growing the shape. Essentially, that's the idea. And by the time that it circles through everyone and gets back to you, you have this beautiful design. I will tell you what I've used today. So I've used a piece of lead. A grey lead would be sufficient. I just use pieces of lead because it's what I have. I also have an eraser here. And I just do it to fix up any lines if I need. It's not essential because you don't have to be too particular. I also have an art line pen, which is just a thin permanent texture. Some soft pastels. Similar to chalks, I guess, they've got a really strong pigment, meaning their colour is quite potent. And I've got some oil pastels as well, which are similar to crayons. You can use pencils, you can use textures, you can use chalks, whatever you have available. So because it's just me today, I'm going to just finish outlining my lead shapes as I talk around why I use art for mental health. And then I will add some new shapes to the outside, but without designing them first. I'll just add to them with the chalks. And I can show you then as an example how you would do that as a carousel. So essentially that's it finished. So we've talked about what is a mandala and what's a carousel. Specifically though, talking about how we can use an exercise like this, whether it's something that you do on your own or with a group of young people or friends or family, and how I use it to support my mental health. Good thing about art is it's autonomous, so it's guided by yourself. You don't need anyone else to do it for you or with you or explain how it needs to be done. And it's expressed and interpreted without having to use words, logic, or reason. So I know myself sometimes you don't exactly know what you're feeling or why you're feeling what you're feeling. So rather than have to try and explain that to someone or even to yourself with words, things like this is a nice opportunity to use shapes and colours maybe to represent exactly what you're feeling or what you're thinking. And as you're doing an activity, thoughts wash in and out, which is exactly sort of what was going on when I was doing this. So thoughts about work and thoughts about what needs to be done around the house, but they're superficial. Because you're concentrated on something else, they can come in and out. The other thing that I find as well is it taps into subconscious, my creativity and my emotions, rather than, you know, those common parts of the brain I think that we always use, which is our logic and our problem solving. So it exercises that different part of the brain for me that I don't always get to use, say like at my workplace, and that's really good just to unwind sometimes and relax. And it helps you reflect and focus on the now rather than the before or the after. So what are you feeling now? What are you thinking now? What do you need now? And that's, you know, often what I find during these activities. It gives you a bit of grounding. It also helps increase my self-awareness, some meditation and relaxation, concentration and your fine motor skills, because you are using things like this. It's also why I like the chalks and the oil pastels, because as you can see, you start to use your fingers and all those senses that, again, we don't often get to use day to day when we're writing with a pen, or, you know, just drawing with a pencil, which is why I encourage all of this expressive work outside of the lines, and just doing sort of what comes to you as well. That's pretty much in a nutshell why I use art, and how it supports my positive mental health. And 3 sort of key takeaways is to not take it too seriously, to not put pressure on yourself, and to not think that you have to be good at it, because as you can see, like some of my shapes and lines don't even match up, but that's actually not the purpose of the exercise. The purpose of the exercise is to sit down and just focus on you and the here and now for 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a mandala. It can be a tree, and then you can sort of pop your thoughts on the trunks of that tree as they flow in and out. Try the carousel as well. That's fun. I have done that with family and friends at dinner parties and different events, and even in some of my work where instead of having to talk and open up in that usual way, that you do it via this, and you can give someone something, you know, on their paper, and you don't even need to exchange words, and that's actually really meaningful to someone else. So that's pretty much it. I hope that you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'd love to see a picture of yours. Thank you.